We have more Arctic air to talk about as we go into this weekend, followed by a major winter storm moving across the middle of the country going into next week, bringing heavy rain and some icing concerns. And then we'll look long range into early February and talk about what you can expect with your weather as we turn into the new month. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button down below for detailed weather breakdowns across North America. We will keep you covered, and also press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Let's look at our pressure here across the United States and southern Canada this morning. A very strong high pressure system here residing across the central plains and the Midwest at a 1044. That is very strong, and that is an Arctic high pressure system. Looking at our low temperatures this morning, we are 20 degrees or even 25 degrees below zero with our air temperatures across portions of western Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and southeastern South Dakota this morning. And notice the negative temperatures diving all the way down into northeastern Kansas, north central Missouri, and into west central Illinois through the morning hours. And when you factor in the little bit of that breeze out there, and this is the real feel of the air, and you can see those wind chill values, especially centered on Iowa, there is 30 to 40 degrees below zero this morning as you step out the door, and even seeing those wind chill values below zero all the way down into northern Arkansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and Tennessee as well, with that snowpack still on the ground there around the Nashville region from our recent winter storm, keeping those wind chills very cold. Looking at our temperature anomalies going through today, that Arctic air is centered across the central and eastern two-thirds of the country. That will be slow to move out. It will continue to see that move east slowly as we go into Sunday, and we're still going to have a cold start as we go into your Sunday morning time frame. But here's your current weather conditions across the United States as of this morning. Lake effect snow continues across western portions of Michigan there, and we also have a weather system moving into California and the West Coast here this morning, bringing some rain and mixed precipitation across the Sacramento Valley. So going through today, lake effect snow, a big deal across western lower Michigan there. So if you live along the eastern side of Lake Michigan there, you definitely have the potential for seeing a few inches worth of snow through today. And then that weather system across the West Coast will be bringing some heavier rains to northwest California, into Oregon, and even some snows into those higher elevations out there across the west. Going into tonight, that precipitation will spread north and eastward into portions of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana. And then we're starting to see some pretty heavy rains overspreading portions of Sacramento and down the Sierras, with those rains and even snows as well through tonight and through your Sunday. Notice the moisture continuing to move more inland across portions of the west and the inner mountain west as we go into your Sunday time frame. So here's your total accumulated precip. This is likely your rainfall amounts through your Sunday night. Notice the heavier rains out here across the West Coast. Seattle, Portland, down toward the Sacramento region in northern and northwest California. Easily seeing a couple of inches worth of rain going through your Sunday night time frame. But really looking at the snowfall amounts, it is winter after all, so you do have to look at some of these snow amounts across the Rockies. Not the biggest snow we've ever seen, but still seeing a few inches worth of snow here across the Four Corners region, up into western Wyoming, Idaho, Nevada here, and into portions of western Montana. Some of those higher elevations there into Washington State, Oregon, and especially the Sierras out here could be seeing over a foot worth of snow just through your Sunday night time frame with that surge of moisture as it moves in. And then the lake effect snow, we just mentioned that here across western lower Michigan. Some decent banding here could produce over a foot of snow in some of these very localized areas into western lower Michigan, and even up here toward the Toronto region. Just west of there, we could start to see some heavier banding with over a foot of snow there with that lake effect snow off the Great Lakes. As we go into early next week, we'll have a rapid warming trend. So once we get rid of the Arctic air on Sunday, we're going to see rapid warming across portions of the United States and southern Canada starting early next week. And by late next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday timeframe, we will be well above normal for this time of year for late January standards. And those temperatures will definitely soar to levels we haven't seen in at least a few weeks. So here's your high temperatures on Monday. Notice the freezing line still far south across portions of the southern plains, the southeastern regions. We're still a little bit chilly across the north, but definitely not Arctic air like we have been seeing. But notice by Wednesday, that freezing line shifts all the way up into the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast here, and that Arctic air remains bottled up well into Canada. And notice the return of some milder Pacific air and Gulf of Mexico air as well. Look at this across the southeast coast, temperatures easily in excess of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That will extend back westward into southern portions of Texas. Then as we go into Friday, the southeast, especially here from Mississippi, Alabama through much of Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and even as far north as the Delmarva region could be 50, 60 degrees as we go into late next week on that Friday, January 26th timeframe. But there is concern. A major storm system will be moving in as we go into next week. You can see early next week, this is our precipitable water values in inches, and you can see the Gulf of Mexico will be open for business with some moisture moving up into the lower and middle Mississippi Valley during that Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday timeframe. And then later next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday timeframe, that moisture will finally make its way up into the Great Lakes and the Northeast, even the I-95 corridor during this period, bringing widespread precipitation chances. So let's take a look here at that start of precipitation on Sunday night. This is a concern for some icing across portions of North Texas, getting into Oklahoma here, eastern Kansas, southwest Missouri, and western Arkansas on the onset of precipitation Sunday night. It'll be nighttime. Temperatures will be colder here across this region. So Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, even as far north as the Wichita region, we need to be keeping an eye on that frozen precipitation on Sunday night. Going into Monday, that changeover will occur across portions of Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and parts of western Arkansas, but that freezing line that will shift north will be producing some freezing rain, sleet, and just mixed precipitation in general across portions of the Midwest, and then turning over to snow across southeast Canada there into the upper Great Lakes region during the day on Monday. And then we have just a lot of different precipitation types Monday night. You could be seeing rain and thunderstorm activity down here remaining across East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, whereas the Midwest into the Great Lakes will have a lot of different air temperatures up here on either side of 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So we could be seeing a mix of rain, sleet, freezing rain, and snow across this region as we go into Monday night. And then finally by Tuesday, more rounds of precipitation. We have heavier rains continuing in rounds across the deep south. We have snow starting to set up across northern lower Michigan, across Lake Michigan into northern Wisconsin, and then even some flurries back here into the Twin Cities region as we go through the day on Tuesday. So here's your total precipitation. This takes you through the end of January on January 31st. Very heavy precipitation centered across the lower Mississippi Valley and into the southeast. And just taking a look at some of the rainfall amounts down here, and this could be conservative, okay? This is the national blend of models that puts several models together and averages these out. And you can see it's averaging Houston region around 6-7 inches of rain to as much as 8 inches near the Lake Charles region, 5 inches over here into New Orleans, and 5 to 6 inches over here into Jackson, Mississippi. Now, this is an average, so this could be higher or even a little bit lower than this. And then you can see across portions of the southeast, the Tennessee Valley here, very heavy rains on the order of 3 to 6 inches is a good bet from the western Carolinas through Georgia there, through Alabama and northwestern Florida, getting through Mississippi, on up there into Tennessee and southern Kentucky even seeing some healthy accumulating rains as we go through the end of January. Now, this is good news because we have significant drought concerns across the lower and mid Mississippi Valley. We've had this severe, extreme, and exceptional drought for quite some time, but the problem is the rainfall is going to be coming in a very short amount of time. So a lot of those amounts I was showing you is just within a week span. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And this could turn into a flooding problem, especially as we have repeated rounds of rain through next week. So the first round of heavy rain as we go into Sunday night and especially Monday into Tuesday, that will provide the threat for some flash flooding down here into coastal Texas and getting into portions of western Louisiana. Then as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, that will shift a little further east into places like Louisiana into Mississippi. Then during the middle to end of next week, Wednesday into Thursday and probably even into Friday timeframe, we'll see that shifting more into Alabama and Tennessee and even probably into Georgia and northwestern Florida beyond this as we go towards next weekend. So watching out for flooding. On the other side of the storm, we mentioned the frozen precipitation. Now this is the national blend of models, again averaging it out, but a nice glaze of ice will be possible from North Texas here with the onset of precipitation. That will lift up here through Oklahoma, through portions of Arkansas and Kansas, getting into Missouri, the Illinois Valley starting to see some of that as well, and that will move up into the northern Ohio Valley, the southern Great Lakes region, and eventually over here into portions of New England as we go through the end of next week. And looking at snowfall prospects through the end of January, we're really not seeing much of snowfall outside of the Rockies or the Sierras out here out west. A lot of that snow will be falling across southern and southeastern Canada. With that freezing line lifting further north, it'll be difficult to see a lot of that frozen snowfall as we go in toward the end of the month. Now turning into early February, this is the long range forecast. There is signs that we're going to start the month, at least the first week of February, taking you through February 7th, well above normal, especially across the north. And this is pretty much what you would expect with an El Nino pattern going through the winter months. And looking at our 500 millibar height anomaly for the first week of February, notice the high pressure with the oranges up here into southeastern Canada and more lower pressure with the blues showing up across the west coast and underneath across portions of the southern U.S. That will usher in a lot of Pacific moisture and Gulf of Mexico moisture towards the first week in February, and we could continue to see some very heavy rains and even some very heavy flooding conditions down here across the deep south going through the first full week of February. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for detailed weather breakdowns across North America. We will keep you covered right here on this channel. Make sure to press the like button down below, especially if you did like today's weather forecast. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend out there.